Warrior football and cheer fans. This is the annual Snap Race fundraiser announcement. If you wish to contribute to Warrior football or Socorro cheer, find a cheerleader, a football player, or coaches, and they will get you set up with the information necessary to donate to either program. And the Socorro Warrior football team is now a part of another fundraiser brought to you by APO Express at apo-express.square.site, the official site for Warrior football apparel. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Warrior Talk After Show. Right here with me today, we have junior class of 2025, David Gutierrez Jr. David, introduce yourself to the people.
I'm David Gutierrez Jr., number 74, left tackle, a defensive end, and number 74.
Well, Junior, in case you weren't aware, your reason for being here on the show this week is because myself and my co-host, Mr. Tim over here, named you player of the game for the Warriors versus Estancia game. How do you feel about that?
I feel honored, really.
I mean, you made a touchdown. I was going to touch into that later, but I mean, you made a touchdown. That's like the highlight for me because I'm one of few big men to actually make an attempt at a goal and be successful. And for the YouTube version of this, a video will be available of said touchdown. What was going through your head when you were sitting there, getting ready for that play? Because I'm sure it was a designed play that you guys were practicing throughout the week.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't really know. There's not much going through my mind. I just wanted the ball, just get in the end zone. That's all I was thinking.
Well, I mean, you had to do like a little jump, a little hop skip, get into the damn end zone. I saw that. That was pretty good. Yeah. I think I would have been taken out. I think I would have just fell into the end zone, and that's how I would have scored. But you put on a show.
Yeah. I just wanted to run through, and then I really wanted that ball after the game, too.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Was it as easy as you thought it was going to be, or?
It was kind of easy running through.
Especially as big as those guys were, huh?
Yeah.
You made it look real easy the way you hopped over there. Of course, it was, what yard line were you on when you started out?
I think we were on the 3.
Yep.
So, oh, God, forgot to turn it down. Sorry about that. 3-yard line, was that a touchdown or a 2-point?
Touchdown.
It was a touchdown. Okay, that's what I had thought, but I wasn't certain. You guys didn't go. You made 1 2-point conversion attempt, right?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, I think so as well. Well, you know what? I'll tell you what, Mr. Tim here, he was extremely impressed, not only by you, but by your ability to play throughout the season, but more specifically with this game, of course. You've shown consistent growth and consistent capabilities as a football player in the many positions that you do play. So, Tim, do you got anything for him?
Well, like I was mentioning to you guys on the first broadcast that we did, I could see the potential in you guys, even when you played Robertson, that you were coming along and the way you were going at it, you were aggressive and stuff, and these guys were pretty good size out there over in Estancia. And I thought they were going to be a little bit rougher than what they were, but you guys seem to be handling them pretty good, and that's why I had mentioned to Moy up there when we were in the stands, I said, what we're going to do is make you impact player of the game, because I felt that all the stuff that you contributed on all areas of the field were very good, I thought, when I was watching the game, as opposed to all the other games that we had been watching you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that one, you stood out, man. You started coming out against those big guys, and you're not a small guy either. So you guys showed what was going on, and you're very talented, very good.
Thank you.
So, kind of getting into the game. Obviously, this is a pretty big win for Socorro, being that Estancia is always a huge competition. You know what I mean? And no matter what the year was that Socorro had played Estancia. See what I mean? I get brain farts all the time, so don't feel bad. So what was preparation looking like throughout this week? Because, I mean, you knew that you were coming to take on a pretty decent team.
Yeah. We just really wanted to punch them in the mouth right away, keep it together, stay calm, and just play football.
And so for you personally, was there anything that was kind of going through your head throughout this week of practice and training that you really wanted to focus on that you felt would contribute mostly?
A squeeze call on when I blitz off the edge, because they do a lot of trap, so I don't want to get stuck in the backfield.
And for the viewers that are unfamiliar with the terms, a squeeze call is outside containment,
Yes.
performed by a defensive end. And so, I just explaining that because
Yeah.
some people don't know. But yeah, you were shutting down. How was it trying to go up against what was it, number 45, correct?
Yeah, that Pablo Rijaldo.
Pablo Rijaldo.
Yeah, he was a menace.
Yeah.
Number
45, I think.
yeah, 45. So how was that? Because he was a big old tall dude and
Yeah.
real heavy, real powerful. You could see that much. What was kind of the mid-game strategy of like, wow, this guy runs a lot harder than we thought?
Chop him down. That was really it.
Well, the good thing about him is I like the tactic you guys were using, like, stick to him and just hang on as far as he'll take you. Because about 5 yards by the time
Yeah.
you make contact,
Yeah.
he had 3 or 4 guys on him. He finally wore him down. After 5 yards, he went down every time. But you did. You guys are right there. That's pretty good. The littler guys like Alex and those other guys, man, I felt sorry for them. They were getting hit pretty hard.
Yeah.
And that's when standing there, like that one that we were sitting by up on the stands. Alex was already at the 50, on the 50 yard, and he was positioned. He was getting ready to hold him. And here they come, man, and they went right over to him and kept going. So it was pretty rough.
Yeah, so I mean, you had to play a lot of outside containment and stuff like that, and he didn't break away to the outside, but I know that there was a lot of passes that were going. And correct me if I'm wrong, but you play on the strong side of the ball?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I had thought. So there was a lot of passes that were going out to the strong side that you were involved in and whatnot, and that you had helped to stop. So, with the squeezing, kind of, what's the best thing to look out for when that is necessary, or how to break away and whatnot? Like, what are some of the things that go through your head at the beginning of a play?
Look for kickouts too, because I don't want to get all messed up in them and then get kicked out. They run for 50 yards. Just stay there, take it on, and keep outside.
Good thing you bring that up, because that 21 Joshua Calhoun was always going out, ripping that side, but you guys were containing him. At the beginning of the game, he was kind of getting through and making his moves and stuff, which you could tell he's a pretty good runner.
Yeah.
But once you guys caught on to him, you closed it up, and it came together real good.
So, what was the celebration like at the end of the game? Was Coach pretty happy?
Yeah.
Or did he do one of his, I'm happy, but we could have done better?
Yeah, a lot of mistakes here and there, but overall, I thought we did pretty good.
That's good. So, in Estancia, kind of unrelated, but when we were leaving, we didn't find too many restaurants to eat at. What was the food situation up there in Estancia?
I have no clue. We had burgers and chips. That's
Oh, is that right?
yeah.
Oh.
I don't
Okay.
know from where, but
Oh, well, lucky you guys. Dang, we should have
Yeah.
stuck by the bus.
Back to the game, when those guys kept. Okay, did you notice that they weren't kicking the ball to you guys very often?
yeah.
Now, every time they did that, it felt to me like they were shooting themselves in the foot, because they were giving you guys excellent field position almost in every kickoff that they were going to do. They did it onside, never did recover, except for the one that only went 8 yards. So they had to give it to you anyway.
Yeah.
But what were you thinking, man? I mean, like, why would they be doing onside kicks so much, giving you the ball with the offense that you guys were playing with, and they knew that you were going to score again? I mean, the coaches had to think something different than that. What were you thinking then?
They weren't really worried about our offense either. Our defensive line and our offensive line. They said we weren't really a factor in the game, because what happened to us with Robertson.
I think that is probably, in my own personal opinion, just, from watching every game from the Robertson game, I think that was the most stupid thing they could have ever done, was not prepare for an offensive line, because you can't really base things off of a game like Robertson.
Yeah.
You really can't because, we said on our very first episode, Robertson's just the team. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
if you guys beat that team, well deserved, and if you guys lost, it's not without a fight. You know what I mean? So that was a really bad mistake that they had made.
And the thing that you gather out of all that is, if the coaches don't realize and see what's going to come in the future, how can you prepare for it, And the way that the coaching was going on with Estancia, I thought was, I don't want to say, yeah, I do want to say that was bad. It just, I just don't see why they didn't fix it at the half. They still let you guys, they're big guys, remember, like we said. How do you feel about their line?
I felt like they brought it, but they just weren't really technique. They just wanted to penetrate. Yeah.
So just the bigness really wasn't there, huh?
Yeah.
So it's the same story then, because it was the same story when I played Estancia. Was they had the size, they were big old corn-fed dudes, but
yeah, but they took it a little bit harder when you guys were playing, I thought.
Well, they did, but still, though, it was the same story, though. Their technique wasn't necessarily there, because I'm sure they were strong. I'm sure they were powerful and had a lot of good things to offer, but their technique is never really there.
It's like what we predicted. Well, didn't predict it, but what we saw in your guys' first game, that once your power you put a unity in that power, and your line starts doing what you're trying to get executed in the game. You guys just overpowered them. Their power was there, but you just overpowered them, and you kept the game going that way. How do you, or who keeps the line intact and going like that? And I don't mean the coaches. I mean, like, you guys are in their thing. How are you guys keeping it together, and how are you communicating?
Me and the center, really. I got my side of the line. He has his side. We just yell at everyone, keep them motivated, keep pushing, get fired up too every play.
For the viewers out there, that was the door here at the coffee shop, and it scared me as well.
Good thing I'm not scared of anything, so. I guess, it's a...
Well, we're going to go ahead and take a little break real quick. We're going to do an advertisement break. We'll be right back with more content here on the Warrior Talk After Show. Visit APO Express at 705 North California Street for all of your design needs and your one-stop shop for Warrior apparel. And do you have a sweet tooth? Well, I know just the place. Visit Candyland at 705 North California Street to fill all your candy cravings. Welcome back from the break. Once again, we're here with David Jr. Gutierrez, number 74 for your Socorro Warriors. Tim, you had something you wanted to tell us.
Yeah, I was speaking with David a little earlier about the line that, when they came up to start the game, if he was intimidated at all by the size of the guys and what he thought was going to happen during the game, and David had a little bit to add to it. And how do you feel about it when you were coming up, just before the game even started?
I felt very confident because we knew who was going where, because the way they had positioning with their feet, their hands, just.
And did like we talked about the guys? I guess what I'm trying to ask is, at what point did you feel that you had control of the line when you felt like this was going to be a good game?
I think the third play of the game started off. Felt very confident in everyone.
When Estancia had the ball?
Yeah. I felt very confident in our defense, our D-line especially. I felt like we brought it that game.
I noticed that just about all the plays that coming in, you were stuffing it. You were stopping the whole. You were plugging everything that they had going out, and you were there. I had mentioned earlier about the quarterback that they had. How did you feel about him?
I felt like he wasn't really a good passer. He was more of a runner because, hey, you have a big guy in front of you blocking. I'd run the ball too. But just wanted to run. He really didn't want to pass, throw.
Was it easy to read him?
Kinda, yeah. He just really wanted to hand the ball off or either run it. That was the only two plays we were really worried about.
Yep.
You know what? It's funny that you say that because we noticed that ourselves, and we were kind of keeping track of, how many plays were runs, how many weren't, all that good stuff. Because it's kind of insane his run to pass ratio. You know what I mean? It doesn't really make any sense why they would have such a high ratio of running rather than passing, especially with a team like Socorro's, where one of the best things that I feel the O-line is really good at doing is containing everything, especially the inside runs up the middle, a lot of the ones that they were trying to do. Now granted, there was a couple of slip ups, as there is in every game, but yeah, I mean, really good job with that. So leading up, I forget who scored. Did we score first? Yes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought. And so how did that oh, you were the first scorer of the game actually. Yeah. Never mind. Yeah, so that play, was it specifically designed for you, or was it a modified existing play? Now, don't give too much away, because I don't want Ocampo getting mad at me for disclosing, team information. But
well, we designed that play for me. I've been asking for the ball since I think last year, and then this time he gave me a shot at it. And
well, you didn't disappoint.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, God, that O-line opened up a beautiful gap right there on the right side. I believe it was through B gap, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, that, and you'll see it in the video, the viewers on here. But the O-line just opened up a beautiful gap. It looked like it was a down block sort of play. Was there any pulling or kicking involved? I can't remember.
There was a kick.
There was okay, I thought so. Yeah, because that seemed more of like one of those plays that we run that are like an option type play.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah, that was executed really well. So yeah, you walked in. You basically walked in that thing without having any trouble. See, with me, when I had scored, I had all the trouble because one, I'm not fast, and two, I'm not very coordinated. You know what I mean? But you got that big boy speed, so that was great. Moving forward from that play, though, that kind of kicked off the game and set forward the momentum. How do you feel like the overall morale of the sideline was? You know what I mean? Like, was it pretty good? Did you feel like it was off? You know what I mean?
I felt like we were vocal, like very loud, very like, I don't know how to say this. I don't know.
Really
You're
enthused, huh?
Enthusiastic, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that myself. So like all of the aggressions there is who helped you out the most, as far as like throughout the game, like a player, more specifically a lineman that helped you out the most, like with double team scenarios or scenarios where it was kind of like a team effort. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I see my tight end. Well, both tight ends actually, with Jeremiah Garza and Caden Dow. They brought it on their down blocks on 92s and stuff, where we had a double team to backer. They brought it.
Yeah, Caden Garza. What's his name?
Jeremiah Garza.
Jeremiah Garza. I don't know where I got Caden from. Sorry. Jeremiah Garza. He's been putting in some pretty good work too. Wouldn't you say he had a fumble recovery last game?
Yeah.
He's kind of like one of those silent but deadly
sort.
Yeah, that's kind of what I guessed. I'll pass it back over to Tim because he has all the notes and he's got one of them photographic memories. Do you have anything for him that you were curious about?
Not right off. Just his feelings towards the game and all that stuff. But he's pretty much answered what I wanted.
Well, oh God, see, I need to get that. It's because for the viewers out there, when you hear the sudden sounds, it's because me and Tim are sharing a microphone at the moment. So he's a little bit farther away than I am. That's the reason being for the sharp noises. I guess I'll get into some of the Q&A questions as part of this. You know what I mean? Just kind of getting so people have a good idea of who you are, what you're about, all that good stuff. You know what I mean? So I guess first off, do you intend on going to school after you graduate?
Yes, I really hope I go to school after I graduate on an offer.
And okay, so an offer. So you plan to be a student athlete? Then?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Do you have any schools in mind, like a dream school or anything like that?
No, not really. Just want to out of state somewhere.
Out of state?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. That's how far out of state? I guess I should say.
Not too far.
And I guess part B to that question is, how does your mom feel about you being out of state?
She wants to move with me up there. They all do. Wherever I go.
You know what? When I went to UNM, it was already hard enough on them that I was going to be an hour away from home, so I couldn't even imagine how it was going to be if I was going to be out of state.
Yeah.
So you're the class of 2025, so you've been playing football for the past 3 years?
Yes, I'm going to my third year now.
Third year now. Okay, that's what I thought. So for the viewers out there that aren't aware, me and Junior, I know you as Junior. A lot of people refer to you as David now, I've noticed. And
Yeah.
I still know you as Junior. So me and Junior are, we used to secure the line on the outsides. You were a tackle when I played, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought. So I was a left side tackle, he was a right side tackle, and him and I just freaking did some work up in that thing. And I was super excited for you to hit your like junior, senior year, because for me personally, that's when I really excelled. You know what I mean? Like where I had the most success. So how do you feel like, you know, your progression throughout the seasons? Do you feel like this is probably your best?
Yes. From my freshman year to my sophomore year, I felt like my sophomore year was my peak to see my talent. And junior year, I'm just keeping it going. I feel like I'm raising it more.
Do you feel like the best is yet to come?
Not yet. I feel like I'll be at my best my end of the junior year.
So, dang it, I had a question in mind and I just had a brain fart. Give me just 1 second. Let me try to. Oh, yeah. So your senior year, is for your senior year, for scouting purposes, is there a position that you're trying to push for most?
Defensive end.
Defensive end?
Yeah.
Okay. And so I would imagine they're training you pretty hard at D end then.
Yeah.
So you've kind of stepped away from D line a little bit more and is focusing on defensive end as far as that's concerned. So how does the O line look for you? Like, if you were to get picked for O line, I guess I should say, would that disappoint you, or
No.
would you be good to go for it?
I'd be more than happy. Last year I got all state for offensive line.
Yeah, I saw that. Congratulations on that,
Thank
by
you.
the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, but so back over to the game. So they scored, I believe it was twice throughout the entire game. I off the top of my head, I can't remember exactly where they scored, but when they scored the first time, what was kind of the thought? Like, I believe they scored off of a run, correct? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they scored off of a run. I believe the run was to the outside, to the weak side, I believe. Maybe.
I'm not sure.
Okay. I have this written down somewhere. I just didn't bring it with me. I was joking with David just before the show that I showed up late to my own show, so that doesn't tell you everything you need to know. But yeah. So they scored off a run, and they got really good yardage. You know what I mean? And they did all that good stuff. What was the thought? Like, what got you guys? What stumped you guys on that play?
I feel like just looking in the backfield.
Oh, okay.
Eyes in the backfield. We didn't stick to our technique on that. And then throughout the game, we got better, more consistent about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then sometimes they score.
You know, and then the thing about that one play that they came off of the left side, came in and made it. It was at that number 45, that the guy we were talking about at the beginning of the show. He's just powering his way through. I mean, he was big and strong. That's all to it. Like I was telling you about way back, I think about 96 or something, when Lenny Baldonado was playing for the Warriors. Mm-hmm. He'd do that. He'd run over his line and their line and still make it through, you know, and he'd make touchdowns every time he touched the ball. And this guy there, man, he's just a big bulky guy, hard to get down, very aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
But like I say, you you guys turned it on, man. You started swarming around him, and I mean, following the ball is a ticket to that. Knowing if he's got the ball in his hands and stuff, because I noticed that sometimes those guys are kind of a little bit tricky.
Mm-hmm.
That quarterback would start to take off, and that you didn't know whether he's going to keep it or if he's going to pass it off, and they had a good way of passing it off to that 45 or.
Yeah, we got tricked a couple times on that too.
Mm-hmm. I noticed that, and that was one of the plays on the left side when he came in through the back, and everybody was kind of. You thought the quarterback had it.
Yeah.
When that 45 skipped right in there, man, and that was only real something that I saw was kind of unique, in their playing. But then they went ahead, and then I don't know if you guys blocked the kick.
They went for a 2-point.
A 2-point kick, but you guys blocked it, and then they went ahead and lined up for a. Remember, he threw it to the outside to the left, and the play was busted up, so they didn't score any extra point after that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's funny though too, because they screwed up their extra point trial. The second time, and they got half the distance to the goal because the only reason they got the retry was off of a penalty.
Yeah.
And you know what? And we're going to talk about that here in a little while when we record part 2 of the show. But there were two flags that were waved off in Estancia. So there were 2 flags waved off. There were, I believe, Estancia themselves had about 2 or 3 personal fouls. I mean, fouls were a big factor in the game. Kind of, what was the main thing that coach was having you guys do to prevent from getting any more fouls? Because there were a lot of things being accounted for as far as fouls go.
He
just said, shut up, talk with your pads, and that's it. Just.
You remember that play? I can't remember. I think it was Pete Lopez when he slammed the ball against the ground, and you could see it in his face. He didn't, it's just like being out there. You're not really thinking about it. And he didn't get the ball when he wanted to and all that. So the play got away from him, and he just threw the ball on the ground,
Yeah.
And they right away, man. I saw the flag come out. I thought, come on, you guys. These guys are just, you get a little frustrated out there and stuff. And it wasn't towards you or the players from Estancia's side, because I got to say, you guys, it looked like there was mutual respect on both sides of the field. You guys, that was a well-respected game, I think. So, things like that, how do you feel like when they call that penalty for, it wasn't no flagrant. He didn't mean it against anybody.
Yeah.
It's just a frustration thing thrown, I mean, it happens. We're playing high school football.
Yeah. He was just angry because he didn't get the fumble recovery. He really wanted one, and then he didn't really mean it.
So what do you feel about like when somebody gets called on? How would you feel like if you were to get called a penalty on that and it didn't involve anybody or anything? The ball didn't hit anybody. He just slammed it against the ground, and it wasn't really a flagrant throw against the ground. He just threw it like that.
Yeah. I don't really know.
It shouldn't be, huh? It shouldn't be like that.
Me personally, I don't think it should have been a flag, because I thought he had the ball. He wasn't down yet fully, and the ball came out. But they miss some calls sometimes. They may want to make their own.
But then, like Moises stated just a few minutes ago, we're keeping track of the amount of flags that were picked up. And there were 2 that were very obvious. They thought the play was going to go south, and so right away they're throwing a flag. I don't know if they had a penalty in mind, or if they were just going to try to make one up by the time they got to the referee or the umpire. So by the time they get to the ump, he called off 2 of the penalties that they threw flags on, and that just I don't know. I just don't see the reasoning in throwing a flag if there's not a penalty.
And this is the second game this season that you guys have had to deal with flags being picked up. In Robertson, I believe that there were three flags that were picked up in that game alone, and that was another one like this one where it was heated and it was almost like, in quotations, nothing was missed, as far as penalties and fouls go. And I don't know, away from the fouls and stuff like that. You're not typically on kickoff return or anything like that, right?
No.
Yeah, so you're just strictly offense defense type thing. So I saw that there were a couple of injuries during the game. Could you give us kind of an insight on that? What was going on there? Were they just the cramps, or
Yeah, they're just all cramping up.
what the hell?
I don't know. I told them drink water.
No, you gotta force them to drink water. You can't just tell them.
I don't know. I think there was 7 people that cramped on our team.
In that game alone?
Robertson, yes.
No. In the
Oh, against Estancia, I
Yeah.
think.
Just one, wasn't it?
Yeah. On Estancia's, I think 2 guys cramped over there.
yeah. Oh. Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about the. What do you think about Isaiah's? Like, is he feeling like he's more comfortable in the pocket and getting rid of the ball to you guys? And because you would know, I mean, you're right in the middle of the deal. How do you guys feel?
Just want him to know that we're gonna protect him no matter what. Like, we're gonna give it our all. We're gonna give him enough time he needs.
But you feel like you're giving him enough time to get it out there, because he's accurate as hell, and they're getting out there real nice. You guys got some good receivers, good hands. That Jay, well, I'm not. Aside of the 2 drops that Jay Lee dropped.
You know what though? I'll tell you what I don't know what happened there. I mean, because those are. What do you think happened? Because you were down there on the field, you were in the middle of the play. What happened with those 2 passes that Jay Lee just couldn't get a hold of?
I think he just got a little excited that he was open, and then just saw green grass, and that's all he thought about.
Yeah, no, yeah, he probably got caught up in the moment.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah. Well, because there was one that was probably, what was it, 25 yards away from touchdown, I believe, and he had nothing but green grass in front of him. The other one was right on the goal line.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I could see kind of where you get caught up on that. He was more focused on running the ball in than he was on catching it, huh? Yeah. I kind of figured that much because I could see it in his face. So we'll go back to some of the Q&A. You've been in high school for 3 years. You're about to graduate next year. What is your favorite high school memory? I see your mom smiling real hard, so you better not BS me and give me some sort of whatever story. You better tell me what she's smiling about.
Winning state as a sophomore. That was my favorite high school memory so far.
Leno, was that his favorite high school memory? Are you sure?
Yeah.
In case you guys didn't hear David's mom, she said that they had practiced that question in particular. So I say practice well done. So I was actually with you in that game, and you actually helped me catch the ball. I don't think you realize it in that game.
No. I didn't play with you that game.
I thought you did.
I was an 8th grader.
Were you not?
No.
Yeah, you did.
No.
Yeah, you did.
It was
I was a junior. I was a junior.
I
so
played
you
with
had to have
my-
played with me in that game.
I played with you my freshman
Really?
year. Yeah.
Well, who was wearing? Oh, it was Edgar wearing 74.
Yeah.
That's what. Okay, my bad. Edgar Perez. Shout out to Edgar Perez, the old 74. Sorry about that. Oh my God. I need to stop messing with that. Anyway, you were in 8th grade?
Yeah.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah, I played with you my freshman year.
Is that the only time I played with you?
Yes. Yeah, I'm talking about wrestling, sorry. I should have said that.
Yeah, you should have said that. What the hell, Junior?
You just asked for memory.
Well, yeah, but you got to say individual state championship at the freaking Rio Rancho event. I was there, ladies and gentlemen. I was there, and I watched him pin that dude, okay, without a struggle. Okay, that was great. That was a great win. Tell us about that, okay? We could throw football away for a second. Tell us about that. How was that?
I felt like I was an underdog going in there. I was weighing 220, wrestling 285s. I just really didn't have nothing to lose. I was number 4 seed. He was number 1. Just go out there, bring it all.
And so remind me again, who did he wrestle for?
Bloomfield.
Bloomfield. Dang. You imagine that? And you know what? And that kid, much wider than he was, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Man,
That kid was a tree trunk.
So, like, how was that? Because they, for the fans that are unaware on how the wrestling state championship works, so they present all of the athletes competing in the championship, and they do them one by one, by match. And so, how was that? What was that feeling like? You know what I mean? Like a kind of an all eyes on me type of moment, or what?
Yeah, I zoned out. I got in the moment, and then my coach Joel slammed me back in. He's like, "Come on, let's go."
Mm-hmm.
Brought me back down. And I was in the suite. John and Joel both walked me and Kaden down to the mats, and then escorted us out.
And so, circling back over, how has wrestling improved your performance in football?
A lot. I think that's the only reason I started my freshman year, because of wrestling, my background. Just because I know how to use my weight, how to move people, how to get in their hips, and just using my legs, my whole body.
Yeah, I mean, you seem pretty limber out there, and I used to wrestle in junior wrestling and whatnot, but it really does help you with not only your flexibility and all that good stuff, and your ability to you're more agile than the average Joe and all that good stuff, but it helps with your endurance too. You could kind of take a lot more than most. So I mean, we're gonna finish up this segment here. Big man right here, I'm gonna let him close it out, because you know what, like I say, he's got that photographic type memory, so he remembers a whole bunch. Tim, is there any last thing you would like to hear from Junior or get anything out?
Yeah, I'd like to know from you guys, what are you anticipating against next week's game over here in Socorro?
Hope Christian.
Yep.
Bring it. It's gonna be a dogfight. That's all I know so far. We're gonna watch film this week, study, go hard, 110% the whole week, and then just do the same we did last Thursday.
I feel that if you guys keep going the way you're going, you guys got a hit of steam right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be hard for them to stop you guys. Your defensive line, your offensive line. You guys keep giving it, like we were talking about, giving Isaiah enough time to really make an impact. This guy's making an impact anyway, and we're watching the line and all that stuff, and that's the reason we wanted you to be the impact player, because Isaiah is basically the impact player all the time, because the quarterback's got so much burden on his shoulders that he's pulling a lot, and he got to make sure he doesn't turn over the ball and all that, which he's doing an excellent job in leading the team down the field on your guys' charges. And like I say, I just think that Hope Christian, they've been terrorizing for a lot of years, really doing it. So you guys have to go out there and spank them, put them in their place, and show them what's going on, show them that you guys are the men to beat this year, and then hopefully down the line you're going to meet St. Michael's again.
Yeah.
And then you take it out on them.
Last thing I have for you is Jesus. I have a brain fart all the time, dude. I'm sorry. Last thing I have for you. So, being the player of the game, you've voiced to me that you've been working really hard to make your way on the show. Is this show something that other players really try to work for?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yes. The whole line, we've all been competing for it, trying to see who's going to get on here first.
Well, I mean, I'm very happy it's you, especially because I have background with you in junior wrestling and also in football. But I want to say, thanks for being on the show, one. And two, I'm a little biased because I'd love to have all of you guys on here before any of the other skills guys,
Yeah.
Because, I don't know, with me personally, I feel like the linemen don't get a lot of love, you know what I mean? They hardly ever get a lot of love. So, if you can, Shout out your fellow linemen.
Defensive end, Pete Lopez, Diego Chavez, D tackle, Dre, another D tackle, our center, Gabriel Hidon, our right guard, Ian Gonzalez, right tackle, Diego Chavez, left guard, Shane Bustamante, and then left tackle, me, David Gutierrez. And then tight ends, Jeremiah Garza, Caden Dow. We just bring it all the time.
And so I guess my last thing for you, do you expect a 6-time consecutive district championship this season?
Yes, that's what we're pushing for.
Dude, never been done before. Never been done before. You got my vote. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this has been part 1 of the Warrior Talk After Show. Junior sharing a little bit of his experiences through the game, a little bit of his experiences through high school and whatnot, and his favorite memories and all that good stuff. It's been a really fun time. I'm really glad to have you on the show, and we'll be having you back on again for sure. In case you didn't know, Warrior Football and Cheer is now doing their Snap Raise fundraiser, their annual Snap Raise fundraiser. Feel free and help out Mr. 74, David Gutierrez Jr., with his Snap Raise fundraiser. He'll have all the information and links available for you to make a donation. Once again, this is the Warrior Talk After Show Part 1. My name is Moises. Earlier we had Tim and
David
Gutierrez. Alrighty. This production is brought to you by 6112 Entertainment for all of your entertainment needs. And the Loma Theater, now playing Barbie. For showtimes and ticket pricings, visit lomatheater.com. And once again, allowing us to use this fine establishment for the recordings of the Warrior Talk podcast and Warrior Talk After Show, Quesuave Cafe, serving the community and youth 1 cup at a time.
Okay, yeah, it was real nice being able to talk to David, Junior, or what are we calling him, Junior?
I call him Junior. You can call him David if you want.
I'll call him Junior too. But anyways, it's good to have an insight on him. I think that that enhances the show a little bit more. Get one of these guys off the field and get them in here to talk to us a little bit.
Oh yeah, I agree. And Warrior fans, you could expect to have a outstanding player of the game every week here on the Warrior Talk After Show, because this just went by extremely well.
Well, let's put it at the impact player. Because if we do outstanding play, we're going to have Isaiah in here every day.
Well, that's true.
So,
that's true. It'd be a hard fight between Isaiah and Chase.
Yeah,
for the outstanding player, but the impact player, I like that a lot.
Yeah, and I think that David had, his playing abilities have, like we said, have come up out of nowhere, and he's playing a hard game, and I think just even, having a lineman make a touchdown the way he did on that. First touchdown of the game that we did was pretty extraordinary.
Well, I know firsthand how that feels for him to make it into the end zone like that successfully, because they had given me the opportunity to do that my senior year. So, I mean that's got to be a remarkable feeling alone.
Yeah,
and to be trusted enough with the ball to actually make it into the end zone.
Yeah.
You want to break us down on the first half of the game, because I know that you have a real good memory, as I had previously stated, but you also have a few notes on it.
Well, we opened up with a kickoff to Estancia, and they took it down, I believe, like an 8-yard carry, and they settled the ball down on the 49-yard line. And then the third play that they had was a 22-yard carry, and they took it down to Estancia's 50-yard line. And that's when their guy went down, right after that play. Their guy went down with a muscle cramp or something went on, but it looked like they were giving a massage, and Coach Ocampo took some water out there to him, just hydrate the guy a little bit to get the cramps not to be so severe. But
if I can add for just a second, the medical response team there in Estancia was absolutely on point.
You believe that? it's just a real good feeling whenever they're right there. I mean, it didn't matter how minor or severe that the injury was to the players. When they went down, they were out there. I mean, in a moment's notice, that was pretty neat. It was outstanding.
Yeah, that's. But anyway, please continue.
Yeah, and then our defensive line showed right off the bat, just like we were talking to Junior. He said that they came out and they looked like they were going to be something to have to reckon with. And once they got into the plays, you could tell that Socorro was probably going to get the upper hand because they were controlling them right off the bat. The first time we got the ball, and then David wound up going in, making the first touchdown of the game.
If you're watching this on YouTube, feel free and rewind to the beginning of the show. You could see right away Mr. 74 making it into the touchdown. He had to do some sort of sidekick, hurdling a player real quick, not so much hurdling a player, but, he had to try without, it wasn't without difficulty, that's for sure, but he sure did make it look easy.
Yeah, right. And they did a good job of holding him back. And, but anyway, the show went on, and the Bears, we gave them the ball after we made the touchdown. We had our extra point was good, so then we gave them the ball again, and the defensive line showed up again to keep them held back. And let's see here, they called an offsides, I believe, going down. They had Estancia's drive. They were going down and they called an offsides, called it back for 5 yards, and that put them down about the 23-yard line. And they took it in a little bit later on. I think after 2 carries, they went in that number I had mentioned to you earlier. It was number 45 that. Pablo Regalado, that guy was just a bull. He came up from the left side, and he just hooked back, come across the field, and he had the ball the whole time, and our guys were right there. And I'll tell you what, this guy was just he was running over everybody pretty good, but they were doing a good job of swarm tackling him, and our guys finally got it in the tempo, figured it out, and that's the only way to bring him down was just everybody get on him and wear him down as he went down the field with him.
You had mentioned earlier in the podcast when we were talking to Junior that he ran a lot like in a Warrior alumni, Mr. Lenny Baldonado.
Yeah.
You were around at that time. You had watched Lenny play and excel in the game, so I mean, for you to say that about another player, just from hearing what you told me about Lenny, is pretty huge. You know what I mean? That dude was running with a lot of heart. I was down there on the field, so I got to see a little bit more of an up close and personal, version of the game. And that dude, he just had no quit. So I mean, hats off to number 45 for the Estancia Valley Bears.
Yeah, and the thing about Lenny is that. He was just like this Reganado guy. He there was no stopping him.
Mm-hmm.
Every time he had the ball, he'd make a touchdown or he'd go just take it away from those other guys and take off running for him. But it was a really hard game, good fought, and I think that if those guys would have had a kicker, I'm not saying they didn't have a kicker, but they sure didn't show any ability or any want to kick the ball downfield to us and try to get us pinned back, somewhere in between the goal line and the 10-yard line.
And I noticed that too because they were doing a lot of onside kicks, a lot of unsuccessful onsides, and I wasn't sure if that was game plan or if that was because they couldn't kick it any further than an onside. I'm not really sure.
I don't know, but right after the first TD that Junior did, after that they should have realized that they had a problem.
Yeah,
and they didn't really address it, and then to kick an onside kick, the first one that they went to recover, they got it, but it only went 8 yards. So they had to give it back to Socorro. And then Socorro took it in, and those guys, hell, it didn't take them much, but we scored again on them. And then they kicked another onside.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was saying was you want to talk about, kicking themselves, putting their foot in their mouth. That's kind of what they were doing right there with those onsides, because the Warriors were on top of them every single time. They even ran off with one time and made a good growth of about 10 yards, I believe. So I'm not really sure the thinking behind that.
Yeah, if they weren't worried about our offense, that's where they made their first mistake, because to go off and kick it again, an onside kick, and give us the ball at the 43-yard line, another time they gave us the ball at the 48-yard line, to be giving the Warriors the ball midfield every time.
In their own territory.
Right.
I mean, we're real close to their own territory. It doesn't make any sense to me, not at all.
Well, remember that they were all the way down on their side, and they were about to go in. I think they were down about maybe the 3-yard line, somewhere around there. And they went ahead, and it was 4th down. And, they were in the 8-yard line, and it was 4th down. And I think there was like 35 seconds left in the half.
Yeah, this was fourth quarter or right before
No.
halftime? No, yeah,
before the half.
It was right before the half, yeah.
And they went ahead, and they kicked the ball to us. No, they didn't kick the ball. They went and played a 4th down play, and they missed it. So we got the ball, right there on our
8-yard line.
On our 8-yard line.
and it just doesn't make any sense. A punt would be any coach's call for that sort of situation, but that I just don't know. Maybe they did have a kicking issue, maybe they had a personnel issue.
Yeah, and then because 21, he'd missed he did a sloppy throw, and they just messed it up. And but to top it off, you get on our side of the field, and like we had Pete Lopez going over there and recovering the fumble, and from where I was sitting, he recovered the fumble, and the guy, I'm only calling it as I saw it. Maybe they didn't, but I was pretty close to where the action was, and the guy fumbled it. Estancia fumbled the ball. When Peter got it, they called it down. Down already.
Well, and they did that a couple times throughout the game too.
Yeah,
that wasn't the only one. That was
adding what do you call that? Insult or
injury to insult.
Injury to insult. Okay, they take the fumble away from Pete, and then when Pete he wasn't frustrated at the call. He wasn't frustrated at the team, the game, anything. Frustrated at himself. He throws the ball down on the field, and they call a penalty on him.
Yeah, and that was a pretty heavy penalty. That was a 15-yard personal foul.
Yeah.
So that's
unsportsmanlike.
Unsportsmanlike. Yeah, there you go. And so it's interesting to say the least.
Yeah, but they recovered off of that. It was no big deal. But I'm saying, the boys are playing football. Let them play football, and the referees don't have to really get into it that much.
Well, see, and you know what? And I felt the same way going back to last week's game when Kenyon Scarborough had made a big hit, and he just did like a little flexing motion, not meaning anything by it, but
yeah,
it was called for an unsportsmanlike. It was called for taunting, as a matter of fact. So I don't really know a lot of like the rules and regulations for unsportsmanlikes and taunting, other than the natural late hits and excessive crap talking and whatnot. But it just didn't seem necessary to throw that flag. It seemed like that was more of something that could have been talked out rather than punished.
Right. Well, it was all right because, like I say, we've got so many weapons. Right after that, Alex came through making passes. We even had Diego Chavez getting involved in the passing game and stuff. Doing a lot of action in the receiving ends, and so it was really good. Like I say, I'm just bringing it up because it's fouls like that. Because, like we were talking about, the two penalties that they threw flags that weren't necessary. They picked the flag up.
Exactly. They pick the flag up, they wave it off, they continue on with the game. So it's kind of, I don't know, and I don't understand. I just don't understand, plain and simple, why they would feel the need to throw a flag at something. It just doesn't make any, without speculating, of course, but it just doesn't make any sense from a legitimate fan's point of view.
Right. I mean, if you're going to make a call, you're out there, make a call.
Well,
Make one that counts.
I umpire for baseball.
Right.
So I won't call a strike unless it's a strike, and I feel like it's the same concept when you're doing a football game, when you're officiating for a football game or volleyball or basketball, you don't call a foul unless it's a foul. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, just leave it to our players. I mean, Isaiah took it in for the second TD on that first quarter.
Yeah.
They were teaching them. They were giving them lessons out there.
Well, and I tell you what, though, and Junior makes a good point, because he said earlier in the show when we were interviewing him that Coach Ocampo had told them to speak with their pads and keep their mouths shut. I think that's some of the best, motivation one, but also advice that a coach can give.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically all there is to it when you're out there doing that kind of playing. Because, like, I had asked Junior about the players and stuff, and they were, when you first come out, when we were walking around the field and all that stuff, it was a little intimidating because, like I say, almost all the players on that team were 6 foot or better.
Oh yeah. Easy. And they've always been like that since I played.
Right. And so I thought it was going to be a little bit harder. And then when we got into it, not saying they were as soft as Santa Fe, because at Santa Fe they took them to the bank, But these guys were a little bit more intense on what they were doing. And what was so good about it was that they were playing with respect for each other, I thought, from what I could see.
Yeah, I noticed that myself. You had mentioned, even while we were there sitting in the stands, the sportsmanship. The sportsmanship from both teams was remarkable, and something that definitely should not be taken lightly as far as promoting it, because Estancia did a really great job working with the Warriors and the athletes participating, and the Warriors returned the favor, and the bad blood ended at the point of the whistle.
Yeah, and they were helping each other out. The only thing that like I say, and it's not bad criticism. It's just that I feel like, it's got to be brought up that I don't know why their coaching staff felt it necessary to do onside kicks every time they had to kick the ball off.
Yeah, well,
maybe they don't have a kicker. I don't know.
That could be, but I'm just failing to see, though. You see a mistake being made more than once. I don't know anything. I don't know what's going through a head coach's head, but I know that our coach would probably think, onside kicks aren't working. Let's probably try to go deep with it. But then again, we don't do very many onside kicks, so they're probably a good reason for that anyway.
Yeah, because I think who's it? Caden Dowell does our kicking.
Correct.
And I mean, if you got that kind of kicker, that's
true. He's got a boot on him, and he can launch that damn ball.
I mean, if he wants to give it to him, he'll give it to him right at the goal line. And if he doesn't want to, he'll kick it in the back, do a touchback. So,
oh yeah.
I mean, it's whatever they feel like they want to do. But that's the whole deal is you've got to position your opponents out there on, when you kick off to them, position them back there behind the 10. I mean, you're not going to give the ball to them on their 48-yard line.
Right.
And their offense is already kicking your butt.
Uh-huh.
You got nothing to answer. So, but do it every time, consecutively.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I don't get it. We had mentioned that Jay Lee had dropped a couple balls in the game, but what I do want to shed some light on is Jay Lee's defensive performance, because he had one that I have written down, but being down there, I mean, he had quite a bit of heavy hits. He had a few stops, he's playing in the backfield. I mean, he was doing some work out there defensively, and not taking anything away from his offensive performance, but he was excelling at defense that night, and that's just the bottom line to it. I mean, everybody has an off day. He just happened to have an off day on offense.
And it's like Jake, Jake Angel was.
Yeah,
he was always. I could see him wrapped around somebody's hip, until everybody else got over there.
Well, yeah, and that's the same. Jay Lee, Jake Angel. I mean, you even had number 60, Shane Bustamante.
Yep.
He was in on every single play, just about.
Yeah.
Every single defensive play, anyway. I mean, it takes a team. It takes a team.
And in the turnover category, how many turnovers did we wind up with? Do you remember?
I believe we had one successful, but 2 attempts. And
most of them were basically turnover on downs, is what we collected.
I thought you were talking about fumble recovery sort of turnovers.
I just meant turnovers altogether.
Oh, turnovers altogether. Yeah,
that gave us the advantage to hit I don't know what at the half we had. I think it was like 16 to, or it was
28 to 6.
Yeah, 28 to 6, something like that. So
yeah.
That's when we started. We started the third quarter with a 28 to 6.
If you're talking just regular old turnovers, I really couldn't tell you. I know there was quite a bit.
Yeah. So then when they started off the third quarter, they tried a onside kick again, and that's when they got it before it went 10 yards. And then just a little while later, Isaiah took it in for a 45-yard TD, and this kid outran everybody. And the extra point that they made was good, and I think that's when it made 28 to 6 Socorro, and that was at the beginning of the second half. But Ocampo was all over the place. I mean, they really couldn't stop him.
No, and that comes with the speed. He's also a track and field athlete. He's one of the runners, and he's one of the better runners as well. So, you take that, you translate it, and you could. And he's pretty stout too. For him being a smaller guy, he's pretty stout.
Yeah. And then talking about stout, Jeremiah Garza came up right after that touchdown. He came up with a big, solid hit at the Bears, and he stopped him on the 19-yard line. And that's where my thing was. On the turnovers and everything else, Socorro had stopped them on the 24-yard line. And Estancia chose to go for go take the down instead of kicking it back a little bit and making us work for it a little. But they chose to give us the ball right there on the 24-yard line again. And I mean, this was just a repetitive thing that kept going on. And I mean, as a player, wouldn't you think that would frustrate you after a while?
Oh, it would have frustrated me after probably the second time that it was done and been unsuccessful. It would have definitely pissed me off if we would have kept doing it.
Yeah, because all it did was it gave us another TD, and that was at the start of the third quarter. And then we had 34, to 6. And then the Bears, they came out flat in the second half, so they were playing flat-footed. And then you get their number 45. And he was carrying the ball. He ran pretty good for a few downs, and he carried their game for a little while until finally we just I don't know, we just caught up with them and started wearing them down. I think by the time we got into the fourth quarter of the game, they just were beat down. You didn't have their quarterback really running the ball like he was before, and but they still had that 45. He was still plowing through the lines and doing his thing.
You know, and in that fourth quarter is actually when Jay Lee had made those two mistakes. And you know what? I just think he got excited, man. I do. I just think he got extremely excited. You know.
Yeah.
You're that close to the goal. Of course, you want to catch those and run them in, but
yeah,
you know, it stuff happens.
But yeah, it's no big thing. I mean, you just you get back on the line and collect yourself and get ready for the next pass. And but the third quarter ended real good. Everybody looked strong. We didn't have any real injuries other than what I think Boykin got hit pretty good at one point, and I saw him take a knee when he got over to the sideline after they got him up, and he looked like he was doing fairly well after that. You know, he's walking around. He looked okay. So
yeah, but that's one of those things that you really want to take into consideration moving into this week's practice, because he did get a pretty good hit, and I did see him vomit on the sideline, and you know he was showing. Initially, he was showing some symptoms of, you know, what we were talking about last week about the concussions and stuff, and
yeah.
I just think it's something to consider. You know.
Well, Joe stayed right with him, made sure he was okay. So, and of course, Joe, the training of the EMT that he's done and all that other stuff. So he's in good hands. It was really good. And well, these guys kept taking it to him, you know, and. Like I say that you mentioned Shane Bustamante. In the fourth quarter, I think about probably about maybe 4 or 5 downs, they were taking it right over to his side. And I mean, every time they went in there with these big guys, Shane was right there, man. He posted, stayed up, and he was making some good tackles. Of course, he had a lot of help, but
well, right, but I mean, you know, it still takes a bunch to be there and to be a contributing member.
Yeah, and so that, you know, that was real good. Other than that, the game went on, and so we finally pulled it off. You know, it was 19 Estancia and 34 Socorro at the end of the game, and I'm glad it ended when it kind of did, because I just had the feeling that they started calling penalties on Socorro that they weren't fit for what the boys were playing. But I could see that, you know, I'm not saying the referees weren't calling the game right, but there are times when you'll start, you know, calling them for the opponent.
Questioning, yeah. I mean, you just to get the upper hand. I'll be the first to admit I've called a couple of bad strikes in my career as an umpire. So
yeah,
you know.
But you figure these guys are working. You know, they have their area of the field that they watch. So you want them to call a good game, and when you get a referee or an umpire or a judge that's calling way on the opposite side of where the play is being, you know, taking place, you kind of wonder, okay, well, how come the line judge that was over there in the midst of the play didn't throw a flag?
Well, see, and that's probably why the flags were waved off, because it just, the two that were thrown, you know, that were waved off, I think that's probably a big reason as to why they were waved off. But,
you know, it still ended good with all the players. Like I say, the camaraderie that they had towards each other was really nice, and I noticed that when the game was over, a lot of the linemen from both sides of the line and a lot of the backs that are linebackers and stuff, they went up to that kid that we were talking about, the tougher and nails.
Yeah.
And they congratulate him. I mean, you've been in that predicament before.
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah, it was pretty neat to see that. It was a great game. Socorro did a heck of a job. Congratulations to the guys for their victory with their win. 34 Socorro, 19 Estancia. Go Warriors.
And always remember, when it comes to a place like Socorro, only Warriors survive. Once again, we would like to give a big thank you to our sponsors here on the Warrior Talk After Show. APO Express, Candyland, 6112 Entertainment, Loma Theater, and Que Suave Cafe.